clear, saying, quote, "My last year will be played with my son. Wherever Bronny is at, that's where I'll be. I would do whatever it takes to play with my son for 1 year." Not about the money at that point. Joined now by Fox NBA analyst Slick Rick Bucher. But Acho, is LeBron putting too much pressure on the James family?
Man, I don't like this one, Bron. I actually hate this for Bronny. Putting entirely too much pressure on the James family. LeBron is essentially putting the legacy of himself in the hands of his son. Why do I say that? Because LeBron James' story cannot end until Bronny ends it. Think about it, Slick. You're giving me that look. Sal, you're giving me that look as well. A little curious of what I'm saying. Bron has said he don't want to hang up. He don't want to call it quits until he plays with his son. That means LeBron is going to keep hanging on and hanging on and hanging on until Bronny is ready. Imagine the pressure that puts on Bronny. Slick, my grandma recently passed well, she passed a year ago. We recently went to the burial recently. And what I've learned about death, both in learning that passing and reading about death from different authors, et cetera, is oftentimes you have to give someone permission to die. I encourage y'all at home to read into this. Oftentimes you have to give someone permission to die. My dad goes to visit my grandmother. She was well over 100, lived a full life. And 2 days after visiting her, she passed away. It was as if she was holding on until he had finally given her permission to go. I bring that up into this point because LeBron James has actually verbalized as a basketball career in that death what we have now learned so often in society about death. You got to get permission oftentimes to go. Bronny now has to give LeBron permission to retire. LeBron has said, I don't want to call it quits until I can play with my son. That means you are now putting the legacy, the duration, the esteem, and the estate of your career into the hands of Bronny. And what if he don't make it? What if you don't ever get that permission? Now, Bronny has to hang with that for the rest of his basketball career or lack thereof professionally. So I personally do not like it, particularly as a less athletically talented person in my family. My brother played 9 years in the National Football League. Only played for 3 organizations. 4 years with the Bears, 4 years with the Cardinals, 1 year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Meanwhile, I scratched and clawed to play 4 years in the NFL. I was on the Giants practice squad. I was on the Eagles active roster. I did tryouts with a litany of teams. I understand the pressure that is associated with carrying on a last name of somebody who is more talented than you. That is a lot of pressure. I have at times succumbed to that pressure, understanding, dang, my big brother is more talented than me at the game of football. That's a weight to carry. Now, thankfully, I found my confidence in other avenues, but as it pertained to the football field, that's a weight to carry. Bronny now has to carry the weight of, man, my dad is more talented than me and significantly more talented, more than likely. That's just a large weight to carry.
Tremendous take, and you hit me in the heart with your reference to your grandmother. I just lost my dad a couple months ago, and literally my mom saying to him, I'm going to be okay, you can go, to me was a turning point for him. You know, he finally let go, and he was in tremendous amount of pain. I agree with you. I don't believe that it's too much pressure to answer the question, because I can only imagine what it's like to be Bronny and to be the son of LeBron James. Regardless of what LeBron says or does, that pressure is there day in and day out, especially deciding to play basketball. It's going to be there. I get that sense of, hey, I've got to make the NBA. I've got to get there as soon as I can in order to fulfill what my dad wants. But that's not my issue with this statement. My great issue is that LeBron isn't increasing the pressure because the pressure is always there. He is robbing his son of the pleasure of whatever he does being his success. This is not about what Bronny wants. If LeBron had come at this and said, if Bronny makes the NBA, and if he's good enough, and if he wants me to play with him, I will do whatever is necessary in order to make that happen. I would love to do that. But then that puts it in Bronny's camp. The assumption here is that Bronny wants to play in the NBA, that he's good enough to play in the NBA, and that he wants to play with his dad. Now, I'm sure there's people out there that are saying, well, you know, I'm sure LeBron and Bronny have talked about this, and LeBron is confident that this is what Bronny wants. And I can tell you, as being the father of two teenagers right now, yeah, sure, my son and I talked about this at one point, but they're teenagers, and what they feel now is dramatically different from what they feel a month from now, much less 2.5 years from now, when this could potentially happen. So that's where I have an issue here. This is all about what LeBron wants. And to your point, Acho, like, whatever you were able to do as a player, whatever you did as an athlete, you take full, I would guess that you take greater satisfaction out of that, because in spite of being less athletic, you were able to get to the NFL, and you were able to have the career that you had, and it was the launching point for you to go into other things. Whatever happens from this point forward, if Bronny does make it to the NBA, it's going to be because LeBron has said that he will play with Bronny wherever he goes. And there's a fine line, but a distinctive one, between I will go wherever necessary to play with my son, and I'm willing to go to whoever is willing to sign my son. There's a difference between the two, and the difference is who it serves most.
Woo, man, you guys are on fire. I'm not going to come up here and start off talking about death. You guys already got me at the brink of tears, real talk. So the only thing I can add is the head of Sierra Canyon, where Bronny goes to school, is my man. That's my dog. That's my neighbor, actually, Jim Scrumbus. Got to give him some love right there. Why? Because everybody talk about Sierra Canyon all the time. It's a damn all-star team of these kids. And Bronny's good, so let's not act like this can't happen. He's ranked right now 43 of 60 prospects. I remind you guys, 43 of his class around the world. Okay, so he's somewhere. The name ain't going to take him all the way. He has some game with that. Now, let's talk about what's at play right here. I don't think LeBron's putting too much pressure on little Bronny. Let's be real. Pressure is based on consequences, okay? Acho said that he wasn't the most talented of his brothers, so he had to feel what that pressure was in terms of consequences. Well, let me tell you a different type of pressure. Where I grew up with no brothers, and I knew I had talent, and I knew the consequences of not living up to that same talent. To me, that was pressure. Because if I didn't go out there and change my family's generational wealth pattern, if I didn't go out there and change our family dynamics, oh, I knew what the consequences were, brother. So to me, that's pressure. Now, let's be real. What are the consequences of Bronny not making it pro? I mean, what, he gonna be executive vice president of Clutch Sports? Like, he gonna run LeBron Enterprises? Like, this is not gonna fall far, y'all. Whatever goes wrong, it's still gonna go hella right. Let me just tell y'all that. We are not going to sit up here and transfer his abundance into pressure and consequences now. No. You know what's pressure for Bronny right now? Being in fourth period and being famous already. You imagine that? You're in high school and you're in fourth period and you're famous. That's pressure. Making it to the NBA where my daddy already been, okay. Sounds good on paper, really not hitting me different. And this is unique, but it's nothing new. We remember Ken Griffey Sr. and Ken Griffey Jr. both playing at the same damn time. Actually, they were teammates, y'all. All right, so what LeBron's talking about, it's unique.